Welcome to the Flowering Daydream podcast. I'm Charlene, I'm your host, and this is where daydreams become reality, or at least that's the space I intended when I started this podcast. And I have not been on here very much at all since the creation and publication of the Sacred Reflections Oracle deck. I am my own account manager, I am my own PR manager, I am my own social media manager. I am my own invoice collector. And it's been so much work. And I'm so excited that we did it and very happy about it. However, really carving out the time, it's a couple hours a day to really get the deck out there. And it's only been since January. Well, technically, it was released after Christmas, but since January that we've had the deck out there, and it's on Etsy, it's on Amazon, it's at sacredreflectionsoracledeck.com. We finally got it into Third Place Books in Lake Forest Park. It's at Vision Quest Bookstore in Everett. It's at the Anamkara Healing Center in Spokane. It is at Kindred Healing Space in Everett, and it is also at Classique Spa in Seattle, Washington. So we are very excited about that. The artist Angela and I are just thrilled that it's out there and that people are finding it. The reviews are absolutely amazing, and we're just so grateful and appreciative for everyone's support in helping us get this self-published Oracle deck out there to the world. It's 72 cards, they're hand painted. It's a beautiful deck. We are absolutely obsessed with the gold gilding and foiling. It sparkles, it shimmers, it's beautiful. Anyway, that's why I have been here. And it's really hard to carve out the time for the podcast because I was using Audacity, an app, and I wasn't very skilled in the editing process. So it was taking me a very long time to do things and to create like intro music and just the whole process. So I have switched over to just recording on Zoom. I'm just going to upload the content as is, and I hope you enjoy it. It's really, I know, about the content and not about the presentation, at least for what I'm doing on here. And this is a donation of time for me. It's a space where it's not monetized, and maybe it will be one day, but right now it's not. And it's really a space that I created for people to come and learn and feel empowered and really connect to spirituality in a different way. And especially if you don't have access to certain things where you're able to learn about that. I feel like this was intended to be a space for that 100%. So I'm hoping to continue to offer that and do that for you all. Okay. Well, today I want to talk about conscious relationships with love and spirituality and what that means. And recently I've had a lot of couples sessions and I'm really enjoying it. I'm an ordained minister from the Universal Life Church, so it's pretty easy. You just go online and pay a fee and you get your certificate. But I'm really enjoying holding space for really small and intimate ceremonies and working with couples. And after this recent session work that I've had, I just felt like I needed to have an episode to share some of the things that have come up and some of the tools that we're working with and how spirituality can enhance relationships. So there's lots of ways that that can tie in through intentionality, through just having an awareness, through performing rituals together, through working with oracle cards, which is my favorite, and that's what I'm going to hone in on today with you all. But it can just really enhance the growth and connection within a relationship when we are aware of this aspect. So it's not just the emotional side, it's not just the physical side, it's also this energetic spiritual side. And when we combine all of those, we can have a really dynamic and layered relationship. So if you have an Oracle card deck, I want to start out with that, or you can also work with tarot, but I prefer Oracle. You want an Oracle deck that's not all positive messaging. You want an Oracle deck that has shadow cards and that has a range and versatility of what it can offer in a reading so that you do get an in-depth reading of what's really going on in the relationship. And of course, the Sacred Reflections Oracle deck has that. We have shadow cards, we have emotions, we have elements, things like that. But you can also work with more than one deck. So you can have 4 or 5 decks that you pull from. All you really need is one if you have one that's diverse, though. So grab your deck and we're going to do a little bit of a relationship reading. And I'll do a demonstration of partner A and partner B. And of course, you can add more than that to a reading like this, but just for the purpose of talking about it and teaching this today, we're going to work with partner A and partner B. Okay. So, what do we do when we need to pull in some of that spiritual support? Well, we can do that with the oracle cards. We can do that with reading the energy. That's what we're doing. We're reading the energy lines when we're looking at relationships through card reading. So, for person A, I'm going to use anonymous person A and person B. Okay. And then we're going to talk about it. You're just going to shuffle your deck and you're going to set your intention. So, first, we're going to read on the relationship in general. So this is the partners combined, kind of what's going on in the relationship. And you're going to pull 3 to 6 cards for this. And I like to pull from a deck that has relationship type options. So just go ahead and pull your cards. And we're just looking at the status or the current energy of the relationship dynamic. Okay, so I have about 6 cards here, pulled from 2 different decks. And we are working with the Sacred Reflections Oracle deck first. So we have trust your intuition, shine your light bright, and direct your energy. And then we are working with this relationship affirmator deck that I like, that somebody bought me as a joke, but I ended up absolutely loving it because of the humor. And we all need a little humor in our lives. We have the reliability card and the listening card. So right out the gate, as someone reading this, if I'm doing this for a session or if you're doing it for yourself, it's that you're not following your intuition and your heart, you're leading a little bit more with your head. So that's the intuition card. So it's like we got to get out of our head and we got to get into our heart. So just take the elevator from your head, imagine yourself as a miniature self, and then see this elevator going down into your heart. Let it open and expand into your heart. That's one of the quick exercises that I love to do. And then we also have the sparkle card, which is shine your light. So this is telling me that there's diminishment in the relationship. So if you're getting a card that says to shine your light, it means that there is some diminishing going on. So one or both partners are either diminishing in some way or putting each other down, or really just not leading with I language. I mean, if you've been to therapy, it's I language only. It's such a helpful tool in relationships. So it's not you did this or you made me feel this way. It's I feel this way, I. And then the other person's job is to validate their feelings, whether they agree or not, and then listen, right? So if we stick to that, we're able to overcome that obstacle. And it's hard. Everybody makes mistakes and goes up and down in their relationships, but that's kind of the idea of a healthy dynamic. And so it just means, hey, you guys both need to be able to shine and both be completely in your power and both following your dreams together. There's no one or the other, and there is compromise in certain situations, but not compromise of your values or your worth, things like that. We're compromising more on like, what do we want for dinner? Right? And then we also have the intention card, which is about directing your energy. So there's lacking some intention in this relationship. It's like, why are you just letting the relationship kind of do whatever it wants versus being very intentional in how you want to behave in this relationship? So relationships take work, they take accountability, they take responsibility, and they take action. And so if we're very intentional about what it is that we want with this relationship and how we are operating and behaving, we're going to have a lot more success in our relationships. Then from this other deck, we have from the Affirmator Love and Relationship deck, we have the listening card and the reliability card. So this would tell me that there needs to be some listening in this relationship, that listening is not happening. It needs to improve. What is listening? Listening is literally not responding. Listening is just letting someone speak and then not reacting, not responding, but validating if needed, if desired, but also just not doing anything. Listening is literally just holding space for the other person to feel heard and to feel acknowledged, and only validated if they're asking for that. And then we have the reliability card, which is about doing what you say and showing up and having consistency with that. So, right off the gate, I would say with this reading that there's some trust issues going on, there's a lack of listening, there needs to be more intention, there's a little diminishment happening, and we need to shine a little brighter. And then we're just not trusting our hearts, we're leading with our heads. And when we do that, we are doing that because we are trying to control things because we're scared and we're in fear. So we really have to move out of that to go into that state of openness, that open and clear heart, that strong heart, and out of that into vulnerability and out of that contraction that happens when we're in that state. And so when we're in the head state, we're trying to control things. So it's like, how do we work with our head as a bonus and an accessory, but not the lead, and let our heart lead? So that would be the relationship in general. Then we're looking at that same relationship. Now you're going to shuffle again, and you're going to do independent lines. This is one of my favorite readings to do. It's amazing. And you're going to look at each other. And we're going to start with partner A. We're going to pull 3 to 6 cards again. And then we're going to go to partner B. And then I'm going to pull a couple from that love and relationship affirmator deck just for a little added insight. Okay. So right off the bat, partner A, we have the fear card, the earth spirit card, and the rebirth card. Those are so pretty. If you're listening, you probably can't see, although I am video recording this. And then we have the self-worth card. And then partner B, we have the power card, the energy hygiene, the rites of passage card, and then the giving card. Okay. So then I would take accountability for the readings. This isn't like a rebuttal or refuting or a blaming or judgment. This is simply just insight into your own energy lines and what you could do to improve in the relationship. And if you really want relationships to work, we really do have to look at it that way. We have to take that accountability and ownership of our own behavior. Everybody brings behavior to a relationship. Everybody has stuff. It's just different stuff and it's unique to each person, but everybody has it. It's how we manage it and what our tools are and how we're coping with it. So I would say partner A with the fear card, the rebirth, the earth spirit, and the self-worth. We've got to call back our power. When we're in fear, we don't want to be alone, right? It's about being alone, and it's almost about settling because we don't want to be alone, and we're afraid if we leave that we won't fill that gap. And so we really have to get out of that state of, a relationship should be a bonus in your life. It should never be something that is sustaining and anchoring you. That's your job. It's the individual's job to cultivate their own joy, to work on their own healing, to take that responsibility and accountability for themselves. And then people that enter their lives are bonuses. And that's what it should be, so that whether they stay or go, they're an add to your life. They're not a subtraction. So I would really be talking to the person about their self-esteem and their personal power. And with the rebirth card, it's about recognizing what needs to change so that you can transform like a butterfly from one stage to the next and do that deep healing work. And then the earth spirit is about finding harmony in nature and being embodied and being grounded. So really not being in your body. And so I would be talking a lot about that just based off of that reading. I mean, it's kind of amazing what you can look at just with the cards. Then person B has the power card, the energy hygiene card, the rites of passage card, and a giving card. I welcome the idea of give and take in my relationships, and I eagerly practice the give by giving freely. So this tells me that partner B is doing things in the relationship with expectations. We don't love with expectations. Love should be unconditional. right? And if we don't feel like it's being, if we don't feel like there's reciprocity or that there's not unconditional love, flowing both ways, well, that's one thing, but we still don't, we still give our unconditional love without an expectation. It's like, I'm going to give this because I have it and I'm overflowing it, and you can take it or not, and how you decide to love me back is up to you. And that's when you decide if you're matched with the right partner. We also have with the stay in your power is that there is a power struggle dynamic in this relationship with both parties, it looks like. So both parties are not really fully in their power, and partner B really needs to do some energy hygiene, meaning there's merging and codependency going on. If you have the power and stay in your power card combined with an energy hygiene card, that's going to tell me that you are merging and there's codependency. And so it's really about taking account of, again, both parties separating and standing on their own in a solid way, and then being able to meet and merge in a different way that's still allowing them to have their own energetic atmospheres and then a combined energy that they have together. But it's not contingent based on whether or not the other person loves them or behaves in a certain way, etc. And then the rites of passage is to just take time to honor the journey. It looks like both parties in this relationship are going through a lot of transformation and change, which can be hard and challenging and need space and time and understanding. So, if both parties want to commit and want to put effort into the relationship and take accountability for themselves, then this relationship could absolutely have a really positive outcome. But often when we hear all of this, especially in more long-term relationships, most people don't want to do it. They just want to start back in the honeymoon phase or go to the easy phase before things get serious. So again, it has to be a choice. If one person wants to do it, the other one doesn't, then it's just not going to work out. So that is an example of kind of how I would interpret a reading, what a couple's reading might look like, how you could do a relationship reading for yourself. And it really does take some practice to just kind of pay attention to what your intuition is telling you, but more so sort of looking at how the cards play off of each other. The same thing happens with tarot. You're really looking at how the dynamic is playing off of the other cards when you're looking at a reading to be able to create the energetic story that comes out of a reading. So, that can take a little practice, but I just think cards can be such an empowering tool, especially for relationships. And then some other things that I really like to bring into the relationship for me that is spiritual is just having time together to do practices that you enjoy together. There can be independent practices or you can do them together. And again, you can certainly do a card pull every day, just one card, each person together, and share your message for the day. Or pull a card on what it is the other person might need from you and share your message for the day. To me, that's one way to bring spirituality into a relationship. And of course, there's a lot of other ways. And then just some practical, really helpful tools is learning each other's love languages. I don't necessarily agree with the entire book, The Five Love Languages, but I really do think there is something to understanding how your partner likes to receive love and how you like to give love and what those differences might be. That's quality time, personal, affection, physical touch, acts of service, gift giving, um, what's the other one? I forgot. But there's five. Words of affirmation. That's what it was. So words of affirmation, acts of service, gift giving, quality time, and physical touch. So just kind of understanding how, how you want to receive love might not be the way that your partner does, and learning that about each other, that thoughtfulness and that attentiveness, and really honoring that can be such fuel for a relationship, just really positive, good flowing energy. Another resource that I absolutely love is Esther Perel. If you haven't found her online, go find her. She has so much free content. She has a ton of talks and resources out there. She has a really fun game. She might even have more than one game, but it's like a game that has questions that uh, deepen your relationship that you can ask each other if you need a little guidance and a little support. So that's another thing you can do is just like carve time out for intimacy building, relationship building, emotional bonding, not just physical, not just certain acts in the relationship. You're really looking at it from a full spectrum view. And then sticking to the I language, like we were talking about right in the beginning, making sure that you are saying, I feel this way, or this, or I that. And then the other person listening and validating what's happening with someone's feelings in the relationship. And then having emotional check ins, that's really important. And it's not a stereotype, and I don't want to blanket statement this, but often women are much more adept at giving emotional check-ins, offering information without being asked. Men are less likely to do that until they've had a number of buildups, small micro buildups before they say something big. And a lot of times they need an opener. And again, this is not all men, but often they need an opener to unleash the micro things that they've been holding in that they don't even realize. And that will often happen when the female in the relationship brings something to the table. It's like a door opener to the floodgates for them to remember or just acknowledge all the little things that they've been holding. And that's, again, not everybody. And it might be the other way around. That might be the style of the female versus the male, too. And so just recognizing it's important for check ins. So asking once a week, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And is there anything that you need from me? How's your week going? Just those small little check-ins are so, so important. So I hope this helps. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them wherever you can on social media or where the podcast posts. You can email me at contact@charlenewindus.com. I would love to see what you guys think of this episode. It's a little bit different than what I've done in the past, but I think I'm going to just continue to offer these little kind of one-offs of certain topics on the podcast. So thank you for joining me. I'm Charlene. This is the Flowering Daydream podcast, where daydreams become reality.